Hi, my name is Keelia Molina, and I've prepared a wonderful short presentation for you today about mentoring relationships and also developmental relationships. We find nowadays a lot of organizations are looking for people to grow within their company, people who they can develop into future leaders, and people who they can have stay with their company for long periods of time. A lot of this is being done through mentoring, which is very important in the growth of an organization. So I do hope you enjoy my little video presentation. So as mentioned in the introduction, organization can definitely attract the right people and develop them into future leaders and keep them for long periods of time by engaging in mentoring. So let's talk about the definition of mentoring just a little bit. So basically what it is, especially in the organizational sense, is where someone who's more in a senior position, for example, would provide a junior level associate with some form of professional or personal development. Research shows actually that what's common between these type of developmental relationships is that they all include people connecting and sharing some form of knowledge. So, when we talk about developmental relationships, what we're actually talking about is a close connection between people, something that positively shapes, let's say, a protege's identity and helps the person perform better and somewhat develop a thriving mindset. Research talks about some common types of developmental relationships, such as one on one mentoring, peer mentoring, formal coaching, mentoring in groups, and also action learning teams. So, the authentic leader is the leader that emerged in mentoring roles in the research that I did. And we know those type of leaders are usually self aware, they're honest. They're trusting, they're sensitive to the needs of their followers, and they're very transparent as well. So now we're talking about leaders as mentors, and I really love this quote. The mentee's expectation for the mentoring relationship are powerful drivers of its success. Based on the study I did, mentors were viewed as being knowledgeable, understanding, and even nice. And what mentees sought to get out of the relationships were career advocacy and social support. My research continued with some skills needed to maximize learning from others, and those include imitation, articulating assumptions, reflecting on one's own knowledge, and also the willingness of both mentor and mentee to suspend disbelief. My research took me to some measurements for mentoring, and I found the relational quality scale, and it is done in the form of short answer questions. And some of the questions include: I feel strong sense of loyalty to my mentor. My mentor and I enjoy a high quality relationship, or I respect my mentor, or my mentor is trustworthy. So let's talk about those pre-intervention assessments a little bit. And those are in the form of low level, medium, and high level initiation as far as mentors go. The low level, usually in the first to 12 months of the mentoring relationship, the mentor is kind of looked upon with admiration and respect. And then behaviors are starting to be a bit more inviting and supporting. We usually move now to the medium level, and that is the cultivation phase. And that is about 2 to 5 years. And challenging work starts to be given to the mentee. There starts to feel a sense of autonomy, and they start kind of doing stuff on their own. And so that's the medium level. Then we move to a high level, and the high level is a separation phase, and that one usually includes making the mentor feel more a little more independent. So they definitely have gone off on their own doing everything by themselves, and they definitely experience more autonomy in the relationship. The relationship at this point is described as a little more redefined. So the mentee is probably growing at this point, some form of growth is happening. And then we go to another phase called redefinition. A redefinition is where the mentee kind of goes off on their own, but they get like still a little more support from their mentor. So it might be in the form of long distance sponsorships, and sometimes occasional counseling. And at this point, the mentee usually feels a strong sense of gratitude and really starts evaluating the effects that the relationship have had on their career or personal lives. In analyzing the interventions, the HR department in a company, for example, can use the points, low to high phases of the mentor-mentee relationship as a roadmap so that they can provide the necessary support that both protege and mentor need for their relationship. The mentor can also ensure that the workplace is a type of workplace that fosters positive type of relationship, and also training programs can also be developed to assist mentors in facilitating the mentor of every stage. So I went ahead and developed a 3-hour intervention that starts with a welcome and introduction. And it's basically having everybody for 10 minutes get to know each other. We kind of ask audience members for their definitions of a mentor. And then we identify common terms for each answer that we get. And it basically sets the stage for understanding as it relates to the definition of a mentor. We then move to preparing for the journey, and it's a 30-minute activity. And the objective of that activity is to provide information on characteristics of a good mentor and how they can be achieved. The materials for this activity, not too much, just a chalk and paper or markers. And basically we explain very briefly what the activity is, and then on a wall we'll write a question: what are the characteristics of a good mentor? And very silently people would basically just go up and write what they think it is, and then at the end of it we interact with only with the chalk or the marker and kind of stand back and let it unfold, let the thinking unfold exactly what this is. And it goes on for about 30 minutes. Then we move to the characteristics of an effective mentor, and we spent about 30 minutes in a discussion. We introduced the argument of Thompson, and he talks about specific characteristics that a mentor have, that they ask challenging question, that they're highly connected to the person being mentored, and also that they challenge with penetrating insights. And we have a brief discussion on this, and then we compare the major answers from what we got from the first activity of the chalk talk exercise with those that the Thompson research discusses. And then this discussion goes on for roughly about 30 minutes. We then move on to discussing programs that can help to develop those specific characteristics that we spoke of. And then we also have like a little workshop exercise for the human resource department, something that they can implement. And we go into discussing the tactics of a great mentor. It takes about 10 minutes, and then we wrap it up with an intervention summary. Talk about everything that we've learned, everything that we talked about, and all the effects that the activities have. Post-intervention exercise. I love this exercise. It's called Leaders You Admire. And the purpose of the exercise is to seek leadership characteristics through personal experience. And basically this activity is dividing people up into small groups and then asking participants to share a story about their best and most influential leaders. You can also ask groups of people to share stories about their worst leaders, and it really opens a conversation about how people view leaders. And then that can even be used in the form of mentoring. How do people see a good mentor or a bad mentor? For the post-intervention evaluation, the effectiveness of training and development, you can evaluate that through examination of psychosocial functions. That includes role modeling, acceptance and confirmation, counseling, and even friendship. Also, a post-examination of the phases of the relationship can highlight those psychological and organizational factors that influence what career and psychosocial functions are provided. And what it also does is shows the manager perspective and their experience that the relationship have given them at any period in time. All right, so now we're wrapping up. So, some of the key points to consider is that people want mentors who care, okay? And also that leaders engage in different roles, and those include motivation and opportunities. And it's important to provide those for other people for growth, personal and career. Also, we found out that authentic leadership was the one that emerged as a benefit to mentoring relationships because of some of the behaviors that are common for authentic leaders. Also, I just want to wrap up by saying the best asset in leadership development is a readiness to develop, and mentors should take note of this as well as mentees. Just be ready to develop with self awareness and clarity. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to my video about mentoring and developmental relationships. Thank you, Dr. Daptula, for a wonderful opportunity, and I hope to see you in the future.